Hello, everybody. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Stern. Welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest top stories from the attractions and amusement industry.
Well, before we delve into this week's Pick Six, let me remind our listeners where they can tune in to the Attractions Group podcast. You can catch us on your favorite podcast apps. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube. So, Ryan, let's get us started. Story number one.
Let's start at the beginning. We're going to our friends at King's Dominion. So King's Dominion, that's so easy to do. King's Dominion has announced Rapterra, a B&M wing coaster set to open in 2025 for the park's 50th anniversary. Standing at 145 feet tall and stretching 3,086 feet long, this new attraction will be the world's tallest and longest launched wing coaster. Inspired by the powerful Jungle Hawk, Rapterra offers riders sensation of flight. The adventure begins with a powerful launch, accelerating passengers to 65 miles per hour in just 4 seconds before it ascends its zenith over Jungle Expeditions Midway. The ride then plummets into a dive loop and navigates a series of thrilling aerial maneuvers, including an S-turn, a wing slide, a flat spin, an airtime hill, and a 360-degree Raptor roll. The 89-second ride features 3 inversions before a smooth return into the station, and I could not think of a more appropriate ride for King's Dominion.
I think it's a great addition. Love what they've been doing at King's Dominion the past few years. Jungle Expedition, that was a great addition there. I think it's something that has got their fans excited. It's got the enthusiast community excited. There's a lot of people that are going to plan a trip to King's Dominion next year specifically to ride this attraction. So it's going to do everything that they want it to do. When I look at this, I don't get too enamored when somebody says the tallest and the longest, and those kind of things. I just want a great ride. And I think, everything about this looks like it's going to be a great ride. The only thing I would have done a little differently in terms of, announcing this ride would have been, instead of 89 seconds, just call it a minute 30 because it'll sound like a little bit longer experience that way.
Right. Yeah, I kind of noticed that as well. You mentioned, okay, we've had this discussion several times. The tallest, the fastest, the longest only matters on 2 days.
Right.
The day it's announced and the day it opens. Beyond that, nobody cares. But I will say, from like an educated standpoint, the only thing we can compare this to is Thunderbird. And if you're going to give me more Thunderbird by being taller and longer, I don't see a downside to that.
No, there's not. But I mean, it's like I said, it's once it opens, the only thing that matters is how good it is. And I think this has all the elements in place to be a fantastic ride. And I think that again, for the fans of King's Dominion, you deserve something like this.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's taking up the space where Volcano once lived. But what's funny is that I've had a lot of people that were like Volcano diehards have been like, nothing will ever be a worthy replacement of Volcano. But I'm not unhappy with this. So you've won those people over. All right, next up.
Newport Aquarium in Kentucky will host a new event called Underwater Pumpkin Glow. It'll start on September 16th. The immersive experience will run through November 3rd and feature larger-than-life animal sculptures, including an underwater pumpkin patch and a huge underwater octopus. So Newport Aquarium now, getting into the Halloween season and putting on different events. I think this looks like it's going to be, an event that families, guests of all ages, are going to enjoy.
Yeah, I think so too. I always forget that the Newport Aquarium is owned by Hershon Family Entertainment that owns Dollywood, But it's interesting because the Cincinnati market has had 2 entries into the daytime family-friendly Halloween market to compete with Kings Island Tricks and Treats all in 1 week, because this and the Cincinnati Zoo have both put up, their new activities, all within a week of each other. So it's going to drive up the competition. I like it.
What's next?
All right. Where are we going next? We're going, to Holiday World. Holiday World and Splash and Safari will be holding a special edition of the Holidays in the Sky drone and fireworks show on Saturday in celebration of the park's 78th birthday. Open quote. On August 3rd, 1946, my great-grandfather, Louis J. Cook, opened Santa Claus Land, said Leah Blumhardt. 78 years later, we get to celebrate our legacy of wonderful family memories with something previous generations couldn't have even imagined. We hope everyone will join us in singing Happy Birthday Saturday night. End quote. The show is scheduled to begin at 9 o'clock. I wonder if Louis J. Cook had any idea what the park would look like, let alone a drone show 78 years later.
Oh, unimaginable what it would look like now, 78 years later. But if you haven't had a chance to see the park's Holidays in the Sky drone show, you're running out of time. It only runs through this Sunday, August 4th, but it's spectacular, very well done. And, it's definitely going to be enhanced again here for the 78th birthday on Saturday. So if you're able to make plans, head to Holiday World this weekend and check it out.
Cool. Yeah. Next up.
Knott's Berry Farm has announced its Nightmares Revealed Scary Farm preview event. It's set for August 22nd. Tickets will go on sale Monday, August 5th at 10 a.m. Pacific time for this exclusive preview, which will unveil the mazes, the shows, and other nightmares in the fog featured at this year's Knott's Scary Farm. The event kicks off September 19th, runs select nights through November 2nd. They're the granddaddy of all the Halloween events that are out there at Knott's Berry Farm. So I really like the way they build this up. They promote it. They have a special event just to unveil, what's new this year. I'd like to see other parks do that.
Yeah. Knott's Berry Farm is up there along with Universal's Halloween Horror Nights for if you're looking for a scary event. I mean, that's the direction to go. So very, very exciting. I got to make it out there for Knott's Scary Farm soon. Okay, next up. If you're planning a visit to Six Flags Over Georgia, be advised that daily operation for the Southeast theme park has come to an end for the 2024 season. That's a shame because that's so early. Six Flags Over Georgia will be open on Saturdays and Sundays through August. So they ended daily operation in July.
Yeah, July 31st was the last day. And, there's still a lot of summer left. So for somebody, like us, if we want to travel and go somewhere, we think, okay, let's take some vacation time in August. Let's go to Six Flags Over Georgia. It's not open. So, this is probably, I think, one of the earliest closings that I've ever seen in terms of daily operation for a major park.
Yeah, it's I don't know what they're thinking with it. I'm guessing it's a staffing thing where maybe the schools go back super early in Georgia now or something, but that's a shame. Hopefully that'll change. Maybe it'll turn around with the merger. All right, next up.
Universal Orlando Resort has been unveiling exciting details about its new Epic Universe theme park opening next year, and they might have saved the best for last. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Ministry of Magic promises a unique twist on the franchise, introducing a new chapter not seen in the books or movies, while incorporating elements from the now defunct Fantastic Beast films. The flagship attraction, Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, will take place inside the British Ministry of Magic. This dark ride centers on a trial of Dolores Umbridge, where guests will witness her attempted escape and join Harry, Ron, and Hermione in a chase throughout the building.
I watched this announcement when it came out this morning. I'm still not clear as to what the ride is going to be, but I know that transporter between like London and Paris or something is. I know several Universal creative people, and that is something that they were particularly looking forward to. So that's at least an unsung hero of this. So very, very cool. I'm wondering how Epic Universe is going to work with annual passes, but we already know that it's a situation where you can't just buy a ticket to it, at least for the first few months. You have to buy a park hopper kind of thing and then reserve your date at Epic Universe. But we figure that'll be a while before it, before it clears up. But very nice. Let's move on to the listener questions.
Ruth D., Dayton, Ohio. So yes, I've been debating getting an annual pass to Universal Orlando next year. Epic Universe has me excited. But if I did that, I'd have to give up my season pass and visits to Kings Island and Cedar Point. What should I do?
I mean, I have to pay for both. Like if you're asking for advice as to what to do, if you're going to make an equal amount of visit, like if you're like I mean, you're out of Dayton, so you're not far from Kings Island, but if you make 3 or 4 visits, then maybe you could trade off and, go down there for a few days and maybe the next year, you know, get a Kings Island pass. But I mean, for me, the way that I treat Kings Island is, I go rather often and we just go and hang out and stuff. So it all depends. Kings Island being home, it would be a difficult decision as to if I could only have one of the two. Honestly, if I could have one of the two passes, I'd probably just keep the Kings Island pass. But if it's a time constraint thing for you, then maybe switch them off. If not, and if it's a money thing, then you got to think about how you're spending your money. Are you giving up a whole summer of fun at Kings Island for, maybe 5 days at Universal? That's a big question to ask, and whether or not the trade-off is worth it for you. Now, Epic Universe has me excited too, but it's very likely it will not be included in annual passes, at least for the first few months. So maybe we'll have to have this revealed a little bit better before we can all make decisions on this. But fortunately, you have time to think about it, because I don't even think when Epic Universe opens early next year, we're going to have a full picture as to what the annual pass situation is going to be. Um, but Universal does have payment plans for their passes, even if you're out of state. So that's something to consider as well. But Ruth, let us know what you decide to do. All right.
What's next?
Next listener question. Angela S. from Chicago, Illinois. With the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger, do you see Six Flags Great America being one of the crown jewels in the newly formed company?
Absolutely, I do.
Oh, yeah. Underserved park. That's the one in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
definitely think
mixed that
that's
up
going
at
to be
Great
a.
Adventure.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be one of the flagship parks. I guess the word crown jewels that was used there by Angela. But yeah, I mean, it's a major market. It's a great park. Uh, it was a place that you go back in history. When Kings Island was being built and Taft was looking at other places to go, Chicago was a place that they had earmarked. And then Marriott eventually came in and built Great America there. But yeah, I think you're going to have Cedar Point. Uh, you're going to have Six Flags Great America. You've got Six Flags Great Adventure, Magic Mountain. All those parks are in these big major markets, and I think that's certainly going to be the parks that are going to form that new list of the flagship parks for the big five before. With Cedar Fair, you had Cedar Point, Canada's Wonderland. Then there was Kings Island, and Carowinds kind of came in there. Knott's Berry Farm, that was kind of your five. Well, some of those that were not top five are going to get bumped down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember there's two sides to this coin too, because the parks that do, the way I always draw the line is big parks draw 3 million or more. All right. So Kings Island will never be neglected. Cedar Point will never be neglected. This one probably does not do 3 million. I'll get to it in a second. Knott's, I believe, does around 4, and it's year-round revenue, so it'll never be really neglected. So the other ones are growth opportunity ones, and that's why Carowinds got that big hug for like 10 years. That's when they got Fury and all that stuff, is because the Charlotte market was growing, and they knew that attendance for the park could skyrocket, and they needed to foster that. They needed to be ahead of the curve. Now, with that being said, I don't think that Six Flags Great America was ever done right in Chicago, because there's no reason that a park that services a city that big could possibly not draw 3-4 million people, and I don't believe it does. So I think that Great America has a very bright future in the next 10 years or so, as a result of the merger. But with that being said, that doesn't knock anything out of the 3 million parks. Like I said, I think Kings Island will be fine, Cedar Point will be fine, because they have a business plan going. On the status quo, I think that the variation for attendance for parks like Kings Island and Cedar Point They don't fluctuate a whole lot. A little means a lot with that sort of thing, but they know the formula and they know they needed to keep on adding rides and attractions to keep people interested. So they need to perpetuate it. But as far as like a mass expansion, a new area, huge additions to the water park, stuff like that, I think that Six Flags Great America is a big candidate for that over the next decade.
I definitely think so. I think it's a park of, it's got a great lineup of thrill rides, good family rides. You got the water park there. There's a lot to like about that park for the future.
I agree. All right. Well, that wraps up another Pick Six, believe it or not. Make sure you follow us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, and so on. Actually, you can't follow us on Google anymore. They switched to YouTube Music. I keep on getting emails about that, but I haven't been an Android user for a long time, so I don't really pay attention too much. But yeah, follow us on YouTube by searching for the Attractions Group Podcast, and follow us on X at attractions_GRP. We will see you next week, everybody.